So just in case you didn't know, I'm also a very professional music producer and very, very storied career. Totally not. I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that, but this has been an awesome event. I really appreciate you all being here. It's been such a privilege to be amongst all of you. It's kind of mind-boggling, really, to think that like we are at such an important inflection point that there's probably people in the room that are going to change history. And you're here with them, right? And to think that we're not all swapping signatures is kind of crazy. But I appreciate y'all coming. It's been awesome to see what's possible with AI. It's already a little bit mind-boggling where it's at. I gotta say that I was surprised that we are already at the stage that we are. And to see these awesome tools coming out of iCore, for example, man, we're on something good. So, like I can tell you guys a little bit about me while we wait for this thing to go. Let me tell you the story about Civitai. So it was August of 2022, and Max over there, my co-founder, introduced me to Midjourney. And I've always been a creative person, I think, but I was never good at drawing. And I always wanted to be good, but I couldn't do it. My hands, I've always been a shaky hand person, and so it was difficult for me. Instead, what kind of came natural for me was engineering. I got into software development at a really young age. I think I sold my first piece of software in 5th grade to friends in school. So it started really young. And when I had the opportunity to finally get into generating images with just text, it felt supernatural. I've always learned new things in pursuit of creating what was in my mind. Like Coco was saying, you know, the human creativity is something that I constantly pursue myself. And to be able to express that just through words and then to be able to iterate and to get the feedback from AI as well and go in a different direction than I was originally anticipating was just addictive. So I bought an unlimited membership for Midjourney and learned very quickly that unlimited was only a word that they used because you just go slower and slower and slower. And so by the time I was having to wait for 5 minutes to get my images back, I fortunately, there we go, had the opportunity to start using Stable Diffusion instead. Oh, is that going to go? Oh. Hey! So I started using Stable Diffusion, and I got to hop into a whole new world. With Stable Diffusion, you were able to modify the model. So I was able to put myself into these images and each of my family members and made awesome Halloween photos where we all had skeleton bodies and stuff. But we'll have to continue that story another time. I don't want to keep you guys too long because it's been an awesome event and we've already had a lot of cool conversations. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into mine and tell you right now that I think you guys should stop making films and start making universes. So let me tell you a little bit about why. So traditional content is static and fixed. You make it, you produce it, it's out there, it's a small group of people, and it's done. Oh, thank you. And traditional distribution, you know, you sit on the couch, you're watching there, there's not really a whole lot that you can do. You know, I think the most advanced I've seen kind of traditional content get is maybe 2 things. First, you know, those interactive shows on Netflix where you can choose A or B and maybe the character will do something different, but, you know, still static produced, you know, it is what it is. The other is maybe what we kind of see on TikTok where somebody will start a trend and then a million other people will reproduce that. So I think that that's kind of an avenue where we're starting to see, you know, content take on a new life of its own. But AI really starts to change that. Content evolves because of the way that AI content is created. One of the things that was talked about in the panel earlier was this idea of attribution, being able to actually track the entire process of the way that something was made. And this was something that was actually really important to me when we started Civitai, and actually part of the reason why I did it. Early on in the community, people were making these amazing images. And at that point, it was just one model, you'd share a prompt, and that's how you'd make that thing. You'd use the seed and you get the exact same result. Then people started to add custom models. You could, you know, fine tune it to produce a specific style or to produce a specific concept or a character. And then they started to mix them all together. And then after that, it wasn't just a prompt and resources, it was whole workflows. So you'd be able to take things like a guy floating through space, and then you'd use that to turn it into this open pose thing so that you could then translate that animation into another style. And then you can use that to do things like we had in Project Odyssey. So we had a 3D animation as a competition category. And so creators took those underlying videos and then were able to translate them into their own form of storytelling, if you will. And so one of the things that I anticipate us seeing here is this evolution of a new AI medium, where it's not just about the single thing that you produce. What you're producing is instead a whole universe of possibilities. And there are assets like those ones that we saw here that aren't just used by the person that created the content. Instead, they're part of that content and can be taken and shared by other people and then modified and reshared and remixed kind of indefinitely. And so one of the things that's been important to us as we start to think about this space is making sure that these workflows actually can transcend just a single source. There's so many awesome tools out there, like the one we just saw, that's going to completely change things. But it's not just one tool that people use to make the best content. In fact, I don't have it on here, but each of one of these have music that was also made in another AI tool. So one of the things that we're focused on doing right now and announcing today is that we're going to be integrating additional AI services this year. So, yay! So we've got some awesome names up there, people that are actually here at the event, including Icor. So looking forward to working with you guys. And Udio, awesome, looking forward to it. And Kling, who was talking earlier in a panel. Honestly, there are so many awesome people. Free Pick, who we were on the stage with. I think it's great because, like we were saying earlier, there's this awesome community that we're building here, and to be able to help bring that together in a way that makes it so that creators are even empowered more, where we can lower the barrier to entry and make it easier for people to create at a whole new level. That's what it's all about for us. So I'd like to think a little bit about kind of where this goes. I think ultimately what this allows us to do is change what media is. Instead of it being a static thing, it's become something that people can remix and expand and share, and then do that process over and over again. It open sources creation. So I'm a developer. I've been doing software development for way too long. And one of the things that's been special in my life, basically since I got into development, is open source. The idea of open source is that you can look and see how a thing was made. In the early days of the web, things were pretty simple. And it was awesome for somebody learning how to get into it, like me, because I could essentially take what somebody else had made, looked at how they made it kind of under the covers, and then copy that and go modify it and make it my own. And I think that we're seeing the same thing here with the AI medium. People on Civitai, for example, will generate an image, and it'll include all of the metadata about how to make that thing. Sometimes they'll even use complex workflows. And then other people can come and remix that and make that their own. Change the character, change the style. And I think it unlocks a whole new world of creative possibility. And so to continue to push this forward, it's actually part of the reason why we introduced Project Odyssey. We wanted to make it so that people disclose kind of their process of making things. So it's why we had, in that first one, that behind the scenes where the guy talked about, the exact tools that he used and stuff like that. And, it's not a completely reproducible process, but it's something that I'm hoping that we can continue to refine with time so that, when you see a music video that you like, maybe you can personalize it, make it more customized for you, change it to a different language, make it so that their mouths move with the language as well. It will continue to evolve, and I'm looking forward to being a part of that. So one of the things that we're announcing today as well is Project Odyssey Season 2, which will be coming later this year. It's been awesome to be a part of this journey. Like Batty mentioned, it's kind of been 8 months in the making. It's been a dream of ours for quite some time, and I appreciate him bringing it to us. We wanted it to be the Olympics of AI filmmaking. And so to see so many companies here already has been such a fulfillment of that vision, and we look forward to continuing that as we go forward here. So the last thing I want to cover here is just kind of what changes as we start to move into this new medium and what's necessary. One of the things that kind of comes to mind is how we deliver that media. Right now, generally when we produce media, it gets posted on things like YouTube or TikTok, where it's kind of static. The most you can do with it is, react to it, comment on it. That's about it. One of the things that we have the ability to do now, that's really important to us as well, is actually to make it so that content is more easily engaged with and modified. So you can see all of those artifacts that went into making the thing. And so we believe that that's something that empowers the members of the audience, if you will, to kind of take the media and the content into their own hands. And in doing so, we think that there's going to be a traditional media transformation where rather than, this basically ending standard media in any form. Instead, what will happen is people will start to expect something different. They'll start to expect that they can change the content that they're viewing, that they can modify the parts that they don't like, that they can change that ending that they didn't like in Game of Thrones to one that they feel like actually fits. So what we believe that this will lead to is a kind of a new partnership between creators and AI. As you already mentioned, we're evolving this tool stack that creators use, and now something that would have taken a creator a month can take a single creator weeks. And so I'm really looking forward to what this unlocks, because I believe that what it changes is it makes it so that this is something that's within the reach of everyone. And when anybody can take a film universe that they love and take it into their own hands and craft that narrative and share it with the community and make it so that, the fanfic is standing shoulder to shoulder with the mainstream version of something, it really starts to change what canon can mean. And it means that, your community can kind of define these film universes. I really look forward to seeing how all of us, as we get access to these awesome tools, shape the future. And I'm really happy to be here with you guys and appreciate you all coming out and look forward to seeing you all again at the next Project Odyssey.